She was like, they were talking about you, Molly. And I was like, well, what were they saying? Hello and welcome back to my bedroom. We're happy to have you. I have the fan on in my room. I'm sorry if you can hear it. It is so hot in here right now. I cannot even tell you. And yes, I'm wearing a hoodie anyways because I want to feel like it's fall, like it is everywhere else in the world. So I'm living my best sweaty life right now, and it's fine. It's fine. Today is a good old-fashioned story time. You guys always really enjoy my story times, and honestly, I have so many stories. I feel like everybody feels like I've shared my whole life on YouTube, and I'm like,
many more to go.
No. There's just straight up some stuff I'm saving for a future memoir. Like, I'm just like, nope, I'm gonna bank that one, tuck it away for later when I write my full life story, because it's too juicy to just like try to condense into 20 minutes of a video. So this is a story that I don't think I've ever talked about here, or if I did, it was maybe like within another video. I touched on it like many years ago. But last night, as you guys know, my boyfriend Adrian is also blind, and last night I dropped something on the ground in the bathroom and it was something shiny. Now, I couldn't find it. I can see shiny things when light hits it, but there wasn't enough light for me to be able to find it. And so he looked and he was able to see the light shining off of it and pick it up for me. And he was like, did I ever tell you about the time when I dropped a coin and it was like really shiny and the sun was hitting it? So I was able to just immediately pick it up, and my mom's like, your sight's getting better. And he was like, no, it's not. I was like, oh my god, so funny. I have such a similar story. And I told him my version of that story. And I was like, wow, that's an interesting story for YouTube, because I really think it speaks to just the variety that blindness comes in, right? We often hear people thinking that blindness means black. Blindness means you see nothing. And for 90% of us, that's just not the case. But not only do 90% of us have some form of remaining vision, there's skills that we pick up as blind people that help us to function. So a lot of the time we use deductive reasoning. We take the outside information that we already have and we use whatever little vision we have to deduce what we are seeing. And so this is one of those times where I did something in attempts to fit in to society and to feel more comfortable about my disability, and it completely backfired and led people to believing or accusing me of faking it. So let's take us back to the most wonderful year of my life, 2008. Grade 8. So in October, I had gone to, so I guess it was technically 2007 still, but it was my grade 8 year. So in October of 2007, I went to my ophthalmologist at Sick Kids Hospital. I did this video back in the fall where I went to an ophthalmology appointment at Sick Kids with the very same doctor I'm referring to, Dr. Aliah. So you can check that video out if you're interested in seeing what an eye appointment for somebody like me is like. So I went, and I had already known for months that I was rapidly losing my vision. So this was the first appointment I was having after I was noticing my vision decline, because at that point I was going once a year, and it usually was in the fall. So I went in October, and unfortunately it was confirmed that I had lost a significant amount of my vision, and that's all they could really say. And as we now know, it continued to rapidly decline over the next 6 or 8 months. Even though I had known I was losing my vision, once it's confirmed, it hits you that much harder. And so I was immediately struggling emotionally after that appointment, and I was immediately struggling to be understood by my friends, why I was not so peppy, happy, bubbly Molly like I am now. You know, this is the girl I always used to be. So they were like, where did Molly go? So I was already starting to struggle with those friendships, and we had a new girl enter the school. We'll call her Karen. Karen had entered the school that year, and she quickly became one of my best friends and a part of our friend group. She kind of ended up becoming kind of like the ringleader of our friend circle and kind of turning on me and getting all of our other friends to turn on me as well. So that was really difficult, and we were really just at the very beginning of that because it was the beginning of the school year, so her and I were still friends. My friends were still at the point where they were trying to support me through this because it was still new. By the new year, like by January, February, they were done with it. They were done with me. The bullying really ramped up, but by this time it was like November. So it was still early days and they were still kind of, you know, making the odd remark, but trying their best to understand and support me through it, which ultimately they eventually just gave up completely on doing. And so one of the girls in my friend group had a birthday party and it was really sweet. She invited all the girls pretty much from the grade. So it was a really big, like, all-girl party. And like I said, it was November, and we all went to her house, and it was just like a low-key birthday party. Everybody was hanging out in the basement, you know, having like truth or dare, watching movies in the background, listening to popular music at the time. It was just kind of like a chill hangout birthday, like eat some popcorn and chips and like have girl time. That was the party. There was no like specific thing that we were doing. So all the girls were kind of just like grouping off, and for the most part everybody was like staying in one big group. But at one point, two girls in my grade, we'll call them Hannah and Maiken, were off in the bathroom, and I ended up somehow in the bathroom with them. So the three of us were in the bathroom. You know how girls are, everybody just goes to the bathroom together. Now these girls weren't in my friend group. My friend group was like the step down from the most popular. So there was like one girl group ahead of us that was like the most popular girls in the grade, and then our group was just below that. Now our grade was like very large. We had, I think, like 100 kids in the grade. So yeah, we were kind of like the group below the most popular. And Hannah and Maiken were in the most popular girl group. And so I'm in the bathroom with them and we're chatting. And at this time, I don't know if anybody around my age will remember this, but like the trend was long necklaces. So like the long chain with like a medallion or some sort of hanging charm at the end. And they sat like right around your lower ribcage belly button area. And that was like the look, with like a long t-shirt over leggings, or leggings with a denim skirt and a top with one of the long necklaces. That was like the vibe. And so based on that information, that was the trendy look at the time, based on knowing that Hannah was a very trendy, cool, popular girl, and based on the light perception that I have, I was able to see a big, shiny object. I couldn't see what color it was. Like, I couldn't see if it was gold, silver. I couldn't see what exact shape it was. I could just see there was a large, shiny thing that the bathroom light was glinting off of, and based on where the sound of Hannah's voice was, it was around her belly button. So deductive reasoning comes in here. As I said, blind people tend to do. Like, that's what my boyfriend Adrian says all the time. He's like, I can like figure things out just based on like the information I have and using the little vision I have. I'm not seeing it, I'm just using my brain to figure out, based on the information I know, what this could possibly be, what the most reasonable assumption is on the information that I have. So that's what I was doing. And I said to her, I really like your necklace, it's cute. Something to that effect. I complimented her necklace. And she's like, oh, thank you. And we all left the bathroom. I then ended up breaking off into the laundry room. Everybody was like sitting on the laundry, the like washing machine and dryers and like kind of the outskirts of the laundry room. But most of the girls, the bulk of the girls in our grade, and remember this was like every girl in our grade, was all in the living room still, which was in the basement as well. And so there was probably about 5 or 6 of us in the laundry room, and some of us were talking about how we were like feeling kind of down, like feeling sad, not feeling ourselves. Another one of the girls was struggling with depression, so I was kind of talking to her about that because that was kind of what I was slipping into with my vision loss that I was dealing with. And Karen comes like huffing in to the laundry room where this small group of us girls were chatting, and she sits down and she's, you know, all like, or like, what's wrong? And she was like, nothing. I just don't want to be out there with them anymore. We're like, oh, what's happening? Like, clearly something had happened. And she was like, I don't want to talk about it. Everybody's like, is everything okay? And she's like, okay, fine. They were talking about one of my best friends. And we were all like, okay, well, of course we're gonna ask you like who they were talking about. So we asked, and she was like, they were talking about you, Molly. And I was like, well, what were they saying? Because when you find out that like all the freaking girls in your grade are talking about you when you're like just in the room next door, you're like, well, what's going on? And so she said, they're talking about how you're faking blind, like how you can actually see because you were able to compliment Hannah's necklace. And I immediately was like, oh dear God. That for me was like the beginning of knowing I was not gonna have support from my peers. That was truly like the first sign where I was like, this isn't gonna be a good year. If all the girls in my grade, including some of my best friends, are out there having this conversation when things were already like starting to get rocky with my friend group and their support, I was like, this is going nowhere good. And I was devastated because obviously for me, like I said, like I was just trying to fit in. I was just trying to feel normal. I was just trying to feel like everything in my life wasn't going to hell. And by doing that, I had made people believe that I was faking it. And I think in a way it comes down to people not understanding what vision loss really is, what the spectrum of blindness truly is, but also like the strategies we use, the coping mechanisms we use. Me being able to see something isn't me being able to see. Adrian being able to see something isn't him being sighted. And you know, it's like, okay, right now, I'm wearing pink, right? This entire hoodie is pink, but just in this one hoodie, there is multiple shades of pink. None of them are less pink than the others. They're all just as much pink. We would all look at these colors and be like, yeah, they're all pink. That's like blindness. Adrian can see more than I can. It doesn't make him less blind, right? He can see more than I can, yes, but his challenges are not less than mine. He just has different challenges that he faces as a result. He can use Zoom, I use voiceover. We have different challenges as a result of our needs and how we cope with our disability. And so I guess I just wanted to share this story because I think, like, even on one of my videos recently when I mentioned that my boyfriend's blind, somebody's like, what do you mean he's sighted? I was like, I mean, he's more sighted than me, but he's certainly blind. And I think even today, like you guys know, there's still Reddit threads, there's still places where people accuse me of faking blind. And at this point in my journey, I just laugh. It doesn't bother me at all. But there are still girls and boys who are going blind or who have gone blind or who are on the spectrum of blindness who are still being accused of faking it, who, because they are coping, because they are trying to feel normal, because they're doing their best to fit in, or they're using their strategies that they've developed as a blind person to get by in this world, they are being accused of not being blind enough, of, you know, being dramatic. And that's really sad for me, and it devastates me when I do see even just other blind content creators being accused of faking it, because I know what that's like and I was there once. And for some of them, they're not on the other side of the journey where it doesn't bother them anymore. It is still a very painful thing. And when you are accused of faking something very, very real, it feels very invalidating to the very real pain you're experiencing. So for me to have all of the girls in my grade invalidate the very real and scary pain that I was feeling at that time was really, really hard. It made me feel like the one thing I was doing to feel like I did fit in was the very thing that made people question me the most and pushed me further away from being understood. So that's really all I have to say. That's the story. I know it maybe wasn't that interesting, but I just felt like it was in some way potentially helpful or interesting or just a talking point. I don't know. That's all I have to say. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, click this video up here for more Molly or this video over here, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, stay safe.